In the early days of professional wrestling, the World Wrestling Federation, also known as the WWF, was filled with larger-than-life characters, epic battles, and unforgettable moments. Vince McMahon, the man who transformed professional wrestling from sweaty gymnasiums to global spectacles, stepped into the spotlight. But behind the curtain, beyond the scripted battles, lies a darker tale, a saga of power, scandal, and secrets. So grab your ringside seat as we explore the top scandals that rocked the wrestling world and forever shaped the legacy of one of wrestling's most influential figures. Vince's rise started in smoke-filled arenas in the 1970s. A young and ambitious promoter stepped into the spotlight. But McMahon is no ordinary wrestling impresario. He was a visionary, a maverick who dared to dream beyond territorial boundaries. He wanted to break the boundaries for wrestling, but starting out, it looked like a patchwork quilt of regional fiefdoms. Each territory had its own kingpin, a powerful promoter who ruled over local wrestling circuits. Imagine a national wrestling empire that would transcend state lines and captivate audiences coast to coast. And with ruthless determination, Vince achieved this by poaching talent from rival territories. Icons like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, and The Ultimate Warrior became the cornerstones of his grand vision that we call the WWF. In 1985, WrestleMania was the game changer. Vince orchestrated a spectacle that would alter the course of wrestling history forever. Madison Square Garden in New York City became the epicenter of this pay-per-view extravaganza. But it wasn't just about wrestling. It was a fusion of athleticism, showmanship, and pop culture with celebrities like Muhammad Ali and Cyndi Lauper that graced the event. The world watched as wrestling transcended its sweaty gymnasium roots and stepped into the mainstream spotlight. Vince McMahon had achieved the impossible. His vision had become reality, and the WWF was no longer just a wrestling promotion. It was a global phenomenon. The Maverick had conquered everything, but little did Vince know it would soon all come crashing down. In 1986, the WWF employed Rita Chatterton as a female referee. Her life would intersect with Vince's in a way that would forever haunt both of them. Not long after her employment, Rita accused Vince of raping her. The incident allegedly occurred in McMahon's limousine. Her courageous decision to come forward with this allegation was in 1992 during an interview with Geraldo Rivera that sent shockwaves through the wrestling world. Many asked, was this the end for Vince? He initially filed a lawsuit against Rita, but later withdrew it to focus on the steroid trials that were unfolding at the time. The exact details of the multi-million-dollar settlement reached between McMahon and Chatterton remain undisclosed, but the impact of this accusation reverberates to this day. Ms. Chatterton's story serves as a stark reminder that even behind the glitz and glamour of wrestling, there are darker truths that cannot be ignored. Every hero has a dark side. Vince's controversies cast a long shadow that started hurting others around him. In 1991, the wrestling industry was rocked by allegations of steroid abuse. Dr. George Zahorian, a Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission physician, faced drug distribution charges related to steroids. But it was in 1993 that Vince McMahon, the mastermind behind it all, faced his own legal battle. He was indicted by the U.S. government on charges that he not only encouraged, but personally distributed anabolic steroids to WWF wrestlers. These drugs were illegal when not prescribed by a doctor for legitimate medical purposes. The trial was intense. McMahon initially faced 6 charges. Ultimately, he was found not guilty by a jury in July 1994. Despite the legal victory, the steroid scandal left an indelible mark on McMahon's legacy. It highlighted the risks and controversies inherent in the wrestling business, forever shaping how we view the larger-than-life characters who step into the ring. Vince's fortune might have lasted until 1998, but it couldn't prevail over destiny. A tragedy struck when Owen Hart, a beloved wrestler, fell to his death during a live event. His wife, Martha Hart, filed an $18 million wrongful death lawsuit against the WWF. The settlement reached between Martha and the WWF remains undisclosed. In May 1999, during the WWF pay-per-view event Over the Edge, Owen was set to descend from the rafters of the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. His character, the Blue Blazer, was to make a dramatic entrance. Tragically, the harness malfunctioned and Owen fell approximately 78 feet, landing in the ring. The audience watched in shock as the show continued despite the real-life emergency. Owen was pronounced dead shortly after. The wrestling world mourned the loss of a talented performer and a kind-hearted soul. Owen's death had far-reaching consequences. It highlighted safety concerns in professional wrestling, especially regarding high-risk stunts. His passing also strained relationships within the Hart family, as some blamed Vince McMahon and the WWF for the tragedy. These memories live on through tributes, documentaries, and the hearts of fans who remember him as more than just a character. And the legacy remains bittersweet, a reminder that even in scripted battles, real-life risks exist. His impact reverberates through the wrestling community, urging us to prioritize safety and honor those who gave their all for our entertainment. In 2002, the WWF faced a legal showdown, but not in the squared circle. This time, the opponent wasn't a rival wrestler. It was the World Wildlife Fund. The WWF, known for its conservation efforts and protection of endangered species, has been using the acronym since its inception in 1961. Meanwhile, the clash over the initials escalated, leading to a lawsuit. The fund argued that the wrestling promotion's use of WWF caused confusion and diluted their brand. They sought to protect their name and prevent any association with scripted wrestling entertainment. So the courts ruled in favor of the World Wildlife Fund. The wrestling organization had to rebrand itself, becoming World Wrestling Entertainment, also known as WWE, to avoid further legal entanglements. The loss of the WWF acronym marked a significant turning point for Vince McMahon's empire. It was a reminder that even outside the ring, battles could be fought and lost. The wrestling world adapted, but the scars of the legal tussle remain. On January 25, 2024, former WWE employee Janel Grant filed a lawsuit in the United States District Court for the District of Connecticut against WWE McMahon and former WWE Head of Talent Relations John Laurinaitis, alleging that McMahon had sexually assaulted and trafficked her, and sought to have a non-disclosure agreement relating to the conduct voided, both under the auspices of the Speak Out Act, which makes such NDAs illegal and unenforceable, and as nullified by McMahon's refusal to follow the contracted obligations within the NDA. Grant, a former paralegal who lived in the same apartment block as McMahon, was offered employment with WWE in 2019 after the death of her parents. During the course of her employment, Grant alleged that McMahon recruited individuals, most notably Laurinaitis, for the purpose of sexual relations with her. Of the alleged conduct, Grant made several noteworthy allegations, including, in June 2020, Grant, McMahon, and a personal friend of McMahon engaged in a threesome. In June 2021, Laurinaitis and McMahon cornered her and pulled her in between them, forcibly touching her, before ultimately putting her on top of a table in between them. She begged them to stop, but they forced themselves on her, each taking turns restraining her for the other. During the course of her employment, McMahon shared sexually explicit media with a world-famous athlete and former UFC heavyweight champion, identified by the Wall Street Journal as Brock Lesnar, to entice him to sign a new WWE contract, which the talent eventually did sign. Grant alleged that the misconduct continued until 2022, at which point McMahon's wife Linda, a former WWE executive and politician, discovered the affair and threatened to divorce him. After several months of negotiations, WWE, McMahon, and Grant signed an NDA in which Grant would be awarded $3 million for her silence. After signing the contract, Grant alleged that McMahon attempted to assault her again. Grant also alleged that key figures in WWE were fully aware of the conduct and actively sought to conceal McMahon's wrongdoing. And with these allegations, I think it's safe to say that we've witnessed the final straw that caused the death of Vince's career. So the curtain falls on our tale. Vince McMahon, the visionary, the villain, the vanguard, is forever etched in wrestling lore. His legacy, a canvas painted in both gold and blood. Until next time, keep your headlocks tight, your feuds fierce, and remember, in the squared circle, nothing is scripted except destiny. Thank you for joining us on this roller coaster ride through Vince McMahon's life. Stay tuned and subscribe for more wrestling drama only on SlamTube Wrestling.